Don't be afraid. Russia is not about to go nuclear in this war. Okay, that's my bottom line. This is for my audience. Welcome to Doug in Exile. This is where the happy patriots are. Part of this is, my mom called and we talked and she was listening to Napolitano's podcast and they're saying, oh, this could really be nuclear. This could be nuclear. This could be nuclear. And I hear both sides do it. I see the Republicans do it on Twitter too. Oh, Biden has brought us to the brink of nuclear war. No, he hasn't. Russia has no signs of going nuclear. And certainly if they do, it doesn't touch us. He's not going to, I'll give lots of reasons for that in a minute, but I just want to let you know that to push your fears down, guys, don't give full vent to your fears because you're not going to get ahead of this thing. Like guessing and thinking, I'm going to get ahead of a nuclear war. Instead, we should fear reality. That is what has actually happened. And even then, you don't spiral off into fear. You make decisions. And I'm telling you, reality has shown no sign yet of Russia starting a nuclear war with anyone.
Breaking overnight, Russia strikes the Ukrainian city of Dnipro again.
Now, just remember, I'm a barely literate comic book artist. I'm not a war expert. I'm not a military guy even, but I'm just saying everything you should ask is how would a nuclear bomb or something benefit Putin? Why would he do it? How does it benefit him? It does not benefit him at all. And that's why I believe he won't do it. If Ukraine had one, they might do it because they've launched those long-range missiles that Biden just gave them permission to use, which was a huge mistake, but an escalation, I believe. We're going to get to that tactic too, how that could be a kind of a good tactic. They wanted to give Ukraine a stronger position at the negotiating table. That is going to be addressed here on this CNN interaction. So we'll get to that too.
This after Thursday's attack using an experimental medium-range ballistic missile. And overnight, the Kremlin says the launch was a response to, quote unquote, reckless decisions and actions of Western countries.
Now, that's Putin saying that because Biden gave Ukraine the ability or the permission to use these longer range missiles, they're not technically ICBMs. Intercontinental is what the IC stands for. That is, they could still be fired from within continent, but they were longer range. Okay, so Putin's just going, this is in response to that. He dropped some ICBMs or whatever they call them on Ukraine. They were not nuclearized. They are capable of carrying a nuclear head, but they didn't, okay? If Putin wanted to start a nuclear war, he'd have started it by now. That's how you know that he didn't. He has the ability. He's got nukes laying around everywhere. To my mom out in Colorado, no, he's not sending a nuke to Colorado. That'd be the last place he'd hit. Anyways, what a waste of even a nuke.
Ukraine's President Zelensky calling the launch a severe escalation of the war.
Now that's Zelensky, that's his position. Ukraine just wants our money to fund this thing or more money from Europe to do it. They don't have the ability to fight this war and they're going to lose. That is, they're going to give up those 2 pieces of property back that Russia invaded. That piece is going to be negotiated as soon as Trump gets into office. I believe Putin wants this war to end. I believe Zelensky wants this war to end. And I believe Trump wants this war to end. The only people that don't want it to end are the hardcore American pro-war zealots, many of them in the Republican Party. Many of them are neocons. Fine, the Dick Cheney types and the Liz Cheney types, the Mitch McConnell types. The American people don't want this war to continue. Now, I get it. You don't want to concede ground to someone like Putin who did invade a peaceful country, Ukraine, okay? So he is a bad guy, but it doesn't mean that you don't go and start a war. We're not going to do that. And we're not going to continue this thing because Ukraine clearly does not have the strength and power to end it. They don't have the ability to get that property back. They're not going to get that property back, but both parties want to get to the table and have a strong position of negotiation at that peace table with Trump.
The Russians described it was a ballistic missile with a non-nuclear hypersonic warhead with a medium range. The way a U.S. official, Spider, described it at one point yesterday was that it was an experimental medium-range ballistic missile. Not an ICBM, as Ukraine's military had initially claimed.
Hey, we have Ukraine doing this all the time. They're hypering up the rhetoric to make it sound, oh, house is on fire. And I don't want to make fun of them either. I got friends in the Ukraine. Okay. And any country at war, including Russia, I feel really bad for them. That's not us. So I can't empathize. I'm not, I don't want to be flip about it at all. I think both sides are mourning. There are over 500,000 people dead, and especially young guys. It's time for it to end.
It's not necessarily an escalation in the fight. I think what we have is these 2 pugilists are trying to improve their position, moving toward the administration change out in January.
Okay, I just want to emphasize that. For those of you guys afraid that nuclear war is coming, it's not coming. Did you hear what he said? It's just two pugilists trying to improve their position at a negotiating table when Trump is swapped out, when Biden is swapped out for Trump, okay? The more that you have when you come to that table, and right now Ukraine is knocked back. They're on their back heel, and you don't want to be in a weak position to come back because you'll get less goodies at that negotiation. They're going to negotiate treaties. They're going to negotiate demilitarized zones. They're going to negotiate new laws and new practices about where they can put nukes, where they can put missiles, how close to the Russian border, how close to the Ukraine border can Europe get, how close to a NATO ally can they be threatening to. All that's going to be negotiated. So they both want to come in strong, so they give up less and are in a better position at the end of this war. Okay? Don't fear nuclear war, guys. Fear after the first one's dropped, but there's nothing we can do about it beforehand. And while we're closer to it because of Biden's weakness, Putin, do you think he would drop a nuke when we're 1 month away of getting Trump in office? And that could be the biggest mistake of his life. He's not an idiot, okay? He's not going to drop a nuke 1 month before Trump gets into office and then potentially have our fight back being just a massive crushing of him. So he's not that crazy lunatic that people are making him out to be. And the proof is that he hasn't used him yet.
You think at least some of what is happening now is really a response, not just the tit for tat between the two, but also to the U.S. election and kind of Ukraine and Russia both fighting to improve their position or their argument or their tactical advantage before the next administration comes in. You mentioned the next 2 months. I mean, how bloody could this get if that's some of the motivation that exists here?
It could get bloody, but the point is that there should be no fear of a nuclear war. Putin's not going to do that. And that's to my audience. I want to rest your fears, guys. That war is going to go away in a month. I think both sides want to negotiate peace. They just want the best spot at the table. There may be a lot of skirmishes over the next month. Maybe China wants to take a shot at, are they going to take a shot at Taiwan? Is Iran going to spike up more trouble? Is North Korea, who have 50,000 troops right now fighting on behalf of Russia into Ukraine, probably because they owe Russia so much money that Putin probably called them and said, hey, put 50,000 soldiers in, you owe us money. It was probably purely transactional. But I don't see the big escalation to drag America further into it. Our funding of it will end. Maybe we'll do get Ukraine some nice defensive weapons or something. But the escalation of the threat is going to go the way Trump wants it. He wants this war done. So I think everyone wants it done. Don't be afraid. From now on, all the news should be reporting on it just like this. They should be telling people both parties are just trying to artificially strengthen their place at a negotiating table for when Trump gets in office. That's the news. That's the headline. That's what we're going with. I'm Doug in Exile. Do not fear.